Hello everyone and welcome to Rewind, the retro video game show coming to you live every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on the AWS for Games channels on YouTube and Twitch. Again, I know you're asked this every time, just about for every video that we see, but please hit that like, subscribe, and alert button so you know when we go live every week. This really does help the channel, so if you do like the content we're making, hit those buttons, and thanks so much. My name is Melissinos, and I'm the Principal Evangelist for video games here at AWS. And on today's episode, we are back to explore the 400 Mini. After an ultimate failure last week, where my system died just 20 or so minutes before we were ready to go live. So thanks to Amazon's fast return and shipping process, I got my replacement 400 last Saturday. I retested everything and we should be good to go today, so we'll see how it goes. I also thought that I would do a longer show today so we can really explore what comes in the box, spend some more time looking at the features of the system, and spend a longer amount of time playing some of the games. So let's jump in and do a quick overview of the Atari 400 Mini. Now, the 400 Mini is a miniaturized version of the Atari 400 8-bit computer system that was first released in 1979. The 400 was the scaled-down version of the Atari 800 released at the same time. Now, both of these systems were initially running the MOS 6502 CPU at 1.79 megahertz, along with the same ANTIC and CTIA, or the Color Television Interface Adapter chips that handled graphics for the system. The CTIA would be replaced later with the more advanced GTIA, the Graphic Television Interface Adapter chip, in later versions of the systems. The Poke chip was used to handle the I/O and sounds for the systems, and both systems included 4 controller ports using the 9-pin connector that allowed for Atari 2600 joysticks to be used, and both systems connected to a TV using an RF adapter. The Atari 400 was originally positioned as the affordable version, with the 800 being the high-end model. The differences between them were that the 400 had a membrane keyboard, 1 cartridge slot, and 8 kilobytes of RAM, while the 800 had a proper keyboard, a 2nd cartridge slot, and RAM that could officially be expanded to 48K, although there were some hacks that allowed the system to be expanded to 52K of RAM. The same architecture was used in the Atari 5200 console that was released in 1982, and while technically the same specs, the software was incompatible across systems. Now, also, remembering that home computers were very new and constantly changing, Atari would change the architecture with chip revisions over time, like the CTIA to GTIA and the 6502 to the 6502C, known as Sally, that could run at up to 4 megahertz. And this architecture served as the basis for follow-up machines like the 600, 800, and 1200 XL. And the original machines sold for the equivalent of $2,300 for the 400 and $4,200 for the 800 upon release. The Atari 400 Mini can be had for just $120 as of this episode and can run games and software spanning the entire Atari 8-bit line of systems, including the 400, 800, 5200, XL, and XE series of systems, making this the ultimate way of experiencing the broad range of Atari games from the 8-bit era. Developed by Retro Games, creator of the C64, A500 or the Amiga 500, and VIC-20 Mini and Maxi systems, the 400 Mini comes as a beautiful replica of the original Atari 400 system, complete with 4 USB ports on the front to attach multiple peripherals, an HDMI and rear USB ports for expansion, and an awesome spin on the original Atari CX40 joystick that first came with the Atari 2600. Packed with 25 fantastic games and a couple of hidden ones, the 400 Mini is powered by an all-winner H3 system on a chip and comes with 256 megabytes of RAM and 128 megabytes of flash RAM. The system allows users to load their own copies of games across the range of supported systems using a USB stick, and we'll dig into that on this episode. And that allows you to bring all of that nostalgia home. With multiple save slots per game, the ability to use customized inputs per game, and even load up Atari Basic and write games of your own, the 400 Mini is a superb throwback machine that everyone who is a fan of retro gaming or grew up with Atari should experience. So let's rewind back to the days when wood-paneled living rooms were the standard, beige computers were the future, TVs with RF interfaces were for the masses, and Atari was the biggest name in home gaming. And explore the 400 Mini. So off to the lab table, and let's take a look at what comes in the box. All right, so here we are at the lab table here at Rewind, and this is the box for the Atari 400 Mini. And so what you get, with this is Atari, they changed kind of the logo and the look and feel of their packaging as their systems kind of progressed. And so you get the silver box with the rainbow Atari logo here, which is probably the one that most people are going to be familiar with. Although if you grew up, with Atari as your very first game system, and you got them kind of, when they released way back in the 1970s, it was a little bit of a different treatment. It's typically a big, black box with a white logo, but this is the version of the Atari logo and the packaging that you would have gotten with Atari games and systems towards the end of their life. So you have this nice compact little box here, and of course it tells you about the system. On the back, it shows you the 25 classic Atari 8-bit games are included in here, and lets you take a look at some of the games that are available on the system. And it also talks about the CX stick, which is the authentically updated Atari CX40 joystick. And so this is what the box looks like. And this is the size of my hand. I have pretty large hands, but you can see just how mini this system actually is. All right, let's go ahead and crack this box open and see what's on the inside. Okay. So first, jumping in here, and I'm going to go ahead and lower this music a little. All right, so when we first crack this open, we are presented with the Atari Mini, the 400 Mini Quick Start Guide. And this kind of, follows along the same trends of a lot of manuals today, where, very thin paper manual that just tells you the basics of this system, what to expect when you take it out of the box, what adapters you should go ahead and use. So you want to make sure you use a 5-volt 1 amp power adapter with a USB-A port. Do not plug this into a fast charger or a power brick or adapter that has greater than 1 amps, because you can go ahead and damage the system. So don't do that. And then you also have here, it tells you about the CX stick, and we're going to go through the features of that as well. But then it gives you a QR code that you can go and scan and get access to all the manuals for the games that are included with the system. So you have this nice little mini booklet here, and then here is the Atari 400 system. And I love the way they packaged this. You had that nice clear plastic cover to it. And this is the Atari 400 Mini, or I should say the 400 Mini. They don't call it the Atari 400. It is the 400 Mini. And so you have the replica membrane keyboard. Now, this was really a cost-saving thing that Atari did. And actually, it wasn't just Atari, right? If you look at the original Spectrum and things of that nature, you had this membrane keyboard because it was really cheap to produce, terrible to type on, absolutely terrible to go ahead and type on. So anyone that had the 800 knew what a joy it was to actually write games and applications and use the keyboard. Atari 400, you were basically, really strengthening those pads of your fingers trying to press these buttons back then. And just a replica of the all the buttons that were here. Now, what's really interesting is that in the enthusiast community around these little systems, people are making third-party mods that actually turn these into full working keyboards. And you'll see that on the Amiga 500 or the A500 and the Commodore 64 Mini. I believe somebody is working on the 400, but I don't want to go ahead and fully make that statement yet. But I believe that is the case right now. Okay, and then on the front, you have 4 USB ports. You can plug in up to 4 peripherals or joysticks for multiplayer games on there as well. And then on the back, you have your another USB port, and that's typically for expansion, or a USB key that will have games on it, an HDMI port, your USB-C port for power and your power button. And of course, here on the bottom, we have the the label there, and my serial number is 5113th. So I have the 5113th build of the Atari 400. All right, we're going to go ahead and put that down. Let's take a look at what else is in the box here. So removing this tray, we'll go ahead and save the joystick for last there. In this box here, let's see, these should probably be cables. Yeah. So the system also comes with the cables that you need, an HDMI cable, and then, of course, a power cable for the system. Now, what's really cool, though, is they didn't just throw in, cheap, black or white cables here. They actually went ahead and created cables that match the color of the Atari 400, which I think is a really nice little touch. If you're going to be bringing a retro system into your home, you want to go ahead and have all these things kind of, coordinated, so it looks like it's part of, the real system. And so that's what you get here in this box. So no surprises there. A lot of times too, people that are new to collecting these smaller systems are like, well, where's the power brick in it? We have so many of those power bricks now through years of electronics and phones and these sorts of things that a lot of companies just don't include them anymore. So it's a cost savings. It's also, creates less impact on the environment, which I think is really wonderful as well. Okay, and then here is the Atari CX40, the remake of the Atari CX40 stick. And it comes with this nice little protector right for the top of it. And here it is. This looks dimensionally exactly like the original Atari 2600 joysticks that we got back in the 1970s. Of course, it has a much longer cord, and it's got a USB connector. So I'm going to take this off because I'm going to use this today on this episode. And so, yeah, this is going to be super familiar and iconic for anybody that grew up with Atari or even has ever just seen a joystick before. But this one has a couple of tricks built in. First, instead of just a single fire button, they've also extended a button down here on the side, and you have both a home and a menu button included here. So it allows you to go ahead and get into games, get back out to the menu without having to plug in a keyboard or do those other sorts of things, right? And so the other trick that this joystick has is this ring, which was a decorative ring back in the original version of the joystick. These are now actually 4 buttons. And so you now have 4 buttons around the joystick. You have a full 8-way joystick here. You have 2 fire buttons, home and menu, which means that you can play more modern types of games using this joystick. So I think it's a really interesting take on creating more functionality in this kind of limited design of the original joystick. Now, with my hands, like I said, they're pretty big, so I wind up overlapping stuff, and sometimes I wind up hitting the ring by accident when playing through some of the games. So I have to constantly, adjust my hand position to make sure that I don't hit those buttons and accidentally exit to a menu or select, a feature or a button that I didn't want to go ahead and select. But I still love what they did here. And I love the fact that they really leaned into the history of Atari. And again, this really iconic design. The cool thing is that it also works well with other joysticks that you can plug in. So I've actually used the A500 mini gamepad that comes with the A500 created by, the same company here, Retro Games. And it works really well. The problem is I forgot to bring that with me into the studio today. So I will be playing everything today using the standard stick. So this is the experience that you'll get straight out of the box when you get this Atari or this 400 Mini home. So that's everything that comes with the 400 Mini, the beautiful box with this wonderful box art, the system itself, which is lovingly designed and really, this just looks like somebody took a shrink ray and shrink this down. I wish this would actually work so you could go ahead and pop it open, even if it's just to show an empty cartridge slot that can't be used. But, that's fine. That's fine that it's not part of it. Love this. Oh, and they also put some metal weights in the bottom of this so it doesn't slide around on your your tabletop or whatever as you're using it. So it does make it feel more substantial. And which, by the way, this is also something that game companies and system manufacturers would do in the 70s and even the 80s, where they would actually create, bigger cases that kind of fit more American style, if that's the right way to describe it. By example, the TurboGrafx 16 by NEC is the same exact system that the PC Engine in Japan is, but the PC Engine is about the size of this Atari 400 Mini, whereas the TurboGrafx 16 is probably the size, if not a little bit bigger, than the Atari box. Why? Because American taste at that time were really about these bigger systems, and they wanted to feel more substantial. And so it was basically made a bigger case with more plastic to fit into Western markets versus the smaller version of, again, the PC Engine in Japan. So, yeah, I love the fact that they weighted it a little bit. So, again, makes it feel more substantial, more premium as a product. And so, yeah, so that's the Atari 400. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and connect the HDMI to this here. And we'll go ahead and plug that in the back here. I'm not using the official cable that came with it because I'm using the ones that we have here in the studio. We're going to go ahead and plug in the USB-C power cable. We'll go in and unfurl this really long cord here for the Atari 400 Mini or the 400 Mini. We'll go ahead and power this on. And there we are. And let's head back over to the 8-bit living room and check out the 400. All right, and here we are back in the 8-bit living room. And we're going to go ahead and play through the games on the Atari, or the 400 Mini. I keep saying the Atari 400 Mini. It's not the Atari 400 Mini. It is the 400 Mini, of course, by or licensed from Atari. So I think the audio mix should be okay here. I may turn this down just a little bit. And yeah, let's go ahead and kind of explore the menu. First, let's get our 400 up here. There it is. And let's get some old Atari commercials in the background for us there. So let's go ahead and drop that up. Great. So now we have our old Atari commercials hanging out there in the background. If you grew up with Atari, or you played these games at all, right, at any point in your game playing career, or if you're still playing them, let me know in the chat what your favorite ones are, and maybe if I have them, we'll go ahead and lean into them. So yeah, let's go ahead and start exploring the menu here of the Atari 400. So you have some nice, theme music that's playing in the background. One of the things I do miss, right, of like the for example, the Nintendo eShop is eShop music. It was, that music was so iconic, right, back in the day for the earlier eShop stuff. I do miss it on the Switch, right, not having that music play in the background. So we have some nice music playing back here. All right, so we can go ahead and start moving through the menu here. And you'll see that it allows you to go ahead and rate those games. You can favorite them as you go ahead and play them. And we're going to cycle through the games in here. So we have Airball, Asteroids, Basketball, Battlezone, Berserk, Boulder Dash, Bristles, Capture the Flag, which, there you go, 3D based game, right? Or a pseudo, I should say, 3D game, right? It tried to do that. We're going to go and play through that a little bit as well. Centipede, Crystal Castles, fantastic game. Electra Slide, Encounter, Flip Flop, Henry's House, Hover Bover. Now, some of these games, too, I should mention, were more popular in Europe than they were here in the United States. And so you have, games like Hover Bover or Hover Bover, however you want to pronounce it, or Henry's House, were probably more famous in the UK than they were here in the States, but they included them here because it's just lovely to have that. Lee, there we go. In this platform, you're a master of martial arts on a quest for immortality and wealth. Mule, one of the most iconic games of that era. This is a 4-player turn-based strategy game and has one of the most iconic theme songs ever in a game. And it's actually the theme song, which was remixed and redone by a band, 8-Bit Weapon, my very, very good friends Seth and Michelle. They redid the Mule song, and I actually used it as the theme song for a show that I used to do back when I worked at Sun Microsystems called Level Up. And oh my goodness, I even had it as my ringtone. Fantastic. We're going to play some of that music too. Mule was great. Millipede, the follow-on to Centipede. Miner 2049er, which is also a very difficult game, but a ton of fun. Missile Command. Classic. O'Reilly's Mine, 7 Cities of Gold. We're not going to have time to dig into that one. Star Raiders 2. Again, follow on to the classic Star Raiders. Wavy Navy, Yoop, which is a more modern game, right? It wasn't released at the time that the Atari 400 was in market. And we're back to Airball. So those are the 25 games that come with the system. Now, there are a couple of games that are hidden on the Atari 400. And the reason that they're hidden there is, or on the 400 Mini, and I'm going to use that interchangeably. I'm not going to be able to stop myself from making that mistake. So on the 400 Mini, there are a couple of games that require a paddle really to be able to play them well. So if you plug in a paddle controller into the 400 Mini, those games will instantly appear. Now, I don't have a USB version of the original Atari paddles, but what I do have is this version of this Atari joystick. So this one, the CX40 that comes with the 400 Mini, is a little different than this one. This joystick, which was based again on that iconic, kind of shape and profile, was the joystick that came with the Atari 2600 that the company re-released just a couple of years ago. It's a Ryzen-based game system. And this one has a few tricks up its sleeve as well. So you have, again, buttons on the shoulder and on the top. You have your Atari button there. You have your menu and home button here. And of course, an 8-way joystick. But this joystick also rotates in the middle as a spinner, right? As a paddle controller. So I don't think I need to reboot the machine to do this. So we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. If I plug this joystick into the 400, I should have those couple of games appear. So let's unplug the original joystick that comes with the system. Let's plug in this other one, and let's see what happens. Now, if I cycle through these, we should have a couple of extra ones that show up. If they don't show up here, what I will do is reboot the system, and then they should appear. So I didn't see them there. So let's go ahead and reboot the system. And we'll go ahead and we'll shut down the system here, and then we'll go ahead and reboot it, and let's see what happens. All right, rebooting the system should bring up those 2 missing games, right? Games that were not included on the box. Oh, I love that little startup there. Oh, I think so. And here we go. Super Breakout, which was not listed before. And let's see, where's the other one? It should be down here somewhere. Castle Crisis. Castle Crisis is a game that was also known as Warlord. So there you go. You've got a couple of extra games that are actually hidden on the 400 Mini. And if you plug in the controller that has a spinner or paddle control to it, it unlocks those games for you so you can go and play. And I love that, right? Just those little hidden pieces of presence, if you will, right, that are on these systems. So love it, love it. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look through the rest of the interface. Actually, I'm going to unplug that controller because, as I said, I'm going to use the original Atari controller with him. Oh, and I see I unplugged it and it didn't remove those games either. So I wonder if it would even let me start them up with the standard controller. Well, we'll find out. Okay. So we'll go back into the menu so we can see the options here. So in your display options, you can have it in 4:3, or you can have it as a pixel perfect representation. So these will be the square pixels, and it'll make it look the way it did back, when it was a current system. You can also enable the CRT effect, which will put scan lines on the game, right? So it will in essence, kind of bend the screen a little bit and make it look like this system did when you plugged it into a standard television. So we'll leave it on that as well. And then you can choose frames. So they have a selection of different frames that you can adorn the screen with, right? That way you don't just have that black void on the sides in a widescreen television. And so they have, a really nice selection of frames that we can put up here. I think, let's see, let's go take a look at all of them, and then let's see which one. Okay, that's the empty one. I think I kind of like that one. I kind of like this one. I think I'm going to go with this one. All right. And so now we can press top, and we go in and close it. Different languages, so 6 different languages that you can select from, and then your advanced options. You have system options, so you can set your music volume. You have system information, so it tells you what build of the operating system that you have here. Shut down the device, your legal notices, your factory reset. One of the cool things, too, that the company has already done, oh no, I don't want to do that, is they're sending out, doing patches, right? Of course, to the, they're doing patches for the games, or for the system rather. And so all you have to do is load the, just load the patch onto a USB key, start it up, and it will basically auto patch it, which is great, right? So that way they're keeping stuff up to date, and they're constantly refreshing those, which is wonderful to see. And then what I'm also going to do, I realized that there may be a little bit of the screen getting caught up on the side there, but that's okay. It's not going to affect gameplay, so we're just going to leave it as is. All right, so let's go ahead and close it down here on the top. And then if you press up on any game tile, it'll tell you what the instructions are, the controller instructions are for the game that you're going to play. And your special actions, you press the bottom there, it'll show you rewind your gameplay or show a virtual keyboard. Sometimes you're going to need a keyboard to be able to use a game, especially a basic type of game. And then also rewinding gameplay, which is really cool. So you're able to go ahead and actually rewind back and play through a part that you may have made mistakes in, or go ahead and revisit a part of the game without having to start over from the beginning. So really, really cool. Our good friends over at Digital Eclipse, now part of Atari, right? They really kind of leaned in and almost really pioneered that type of expectation in these collections of games. Even though they didn't work on this, that is kind of where we saw that. And I love that that's where that we have this type of capability with these type of emulation systems. Then if you press up, if you press down, and I love this, these are the save game slots. So you can save up to 4 different points in a game at any time. And so the idea there is you don't have to wait to get to a save point. You can just go ahead and save it, and you have up to 4 different save points there. But they didn't just put it in a menu. They actually made the save slots look like the original Atari cartridges did, and they put them on the background of the 400 Mini, or the 400 case. So again, it's not just about having them in the menu. It's also making sure that they're bringing all the design elements from the system right into it. So I do love it. It's really, really cool. All right, and so those are the basic. Those are the basic controls for the system. So let's go ahead and start playing through some of these games. Let's start off with the classic Centipede. And we'll go ahead and press start, and we're going to jump straight in. Oh no, that's home there. Let's not do that. Let's go ahead and press start. Let me see. Okay, and is that going to let me do that? Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to reboot this because I changed the joystick on that. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So let me back out, and we'll go. And I'm assuming that's what's happening there. So we're going to go ahead and and I pressed that again, which I didn't mean to do. Let's go ahead and select this, and let's go check our advanced options. Let's go ahead and shut down the device, And then we're going to go turn it back on. Yeah, it was probably set up for the other buttons that were already, on the other joystick, right? All right, so now it's shut off. Let's go turn it back on. And yeah, just really, really cool. Really amazing little system. And I'm going to be reviewing the other systems they had in their line there, the A500 and the C64. So we're going to be playing through that stuff as well. Actually, let's start with Berserk, since we have that one over here. All right. 1983 Atari Berserk. Here we go. Let's see. That's 3, 4. These are just the game modes. So you can select, let's see. I think it's up to 10. 6. And I don't know what the different modes are because I'm not going to go pull up the different manuals and check this out. And we're going to see how well, the classic joystick works over using a modern gamepad, Okay, that's 2-player. All right, here we go. So in this game, you have to escape this maze here, or this room. You can't touch any of the walls. You have to, the walls will kill you. And you have to kill all the baddies that you can before getting out of the maze. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you had voice in there too, right? Something that was pretty unique at the time. Okay, now when you're not fighting the yellow robots, they all start firing back at you now. Now, where this gets really shoot, man, difficult game. All right, let me turn this down a little bit. I think that was a little loud there. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Okay, I don't know why I'm going down there. See, like I said, my hands are a little big for this, and so I just wound up hitting the reset button there, and I didn't mean to. Oh, shoot, right out of the bottom there. Okay, here we go. Come on. Bring it. Okay, shoot. You know what? I'm just going to leave the maze. Yeah, it wants me to fight like a robot. Okay. Oh, and it shot me. Now, you notice also that the exit to the room, right, was closed off there. So you can't just run out like a chicken like I did. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. They just, wound up killing themselves. Shoot. Man, that's so hard to make angles on this. Here we go. Come on. All right, let's. Oh, okay. So I was choosing a different skill level there. Let me go back and start off on the basic level. Right, it's been a little while since I've played Berserk. Did love it. This is one of those games too that, and I think I've mentioned it on the program before, that back in the day when the game first came out, to do speech synthesis was very expensive to do. And I believe the story goes that Stern, the manufacturer of the game, it cost them something like $1,000 per word to have the words digitized. And that was incredibly prohibitive. Okay, that intruder alert, that's Evil Otto. Evil Otto is indestructible. All right, cleared the level. And so, so you have to get out of the room before Evil Otto comes and gets you. I'm actually putting the joystick now down on the table here and not holding it. That's not working either. Just to make sure that I don't hit, the different, hit the wrong buttons. Come on. All right, yeah. Let's do that. Okay, get out of his way. Yeah, I mean, this game is so... It's really faithful to the arcade original. Oh, shoot. Yeah, and you see it coming, it's like, okay, I can't move fast enough to get out of the way. All right, let's see. Let's go. Okay, yeah, he's beneath me. I can't get him there. All right. I just want to get out before Evil Otto comes. Yeah, and so you're hearing, that audio. You're hearing that audio come in, and that was really cool to have on a home machine back in the day. All right, so that's Berserk. All right, so classic Atari game Berserk. And you can see that at the top, it's now got this floating little frame. And if I click the home button, it'll jump me right back. It should jump me right back in like it did. And if I get back out, I should be able to press down and I can go ahead and save it to that slot. And so now I have a game in one of the 4 save slots there, which is pretty cool. Okay. Let's see. All right, so I've got this audio coming in. I think that's working well. Let me try this too. Let's make sure my audio is not getting blown all the way out. No, that's not. Okay, good. Let me turn that back up. Okay, good. That audio looks like it should be good. All right, let's go ahead and jump into another game. Centipede. Let's go ahead and try that Centipede. Let's see if we can't get that to work this time. Okay. It's telling me to press start. Press start for 2 players. Press start. Oh, select for 2 players. Start to play. Here we go. All right. Of course, this is all about killing all of the centipede, right? At the screen before they make their way to the bottom. And of course, what you don't want to do is hit them in the head or hit them in the middle of the body like I am, because then it splits the centipede. And every time they hit a mushroom, they change direction. And every time they make their way all the way across the screen, they will add another segment, another body segment to the screen. And this is the problem, is once it fills up like this, now you've got this escalating problem. Okay, I just killed myself so we can get him back to the top there. Now, what you wanted to try to do is to create a channel like that, where you can basically have them funnel down a channel. Those are fleas. They'll add more mushrooms to the playfield. So you want to fire up into this channel here and try to clear that out. There we go. All right, let's see. Is he going to get into this channel again? Boom. And that was the technique. If you could create these channels, then you could start racking up scores really, really well. I believe that's a scorpion that's coming out. What a scorpion does is whenever a scorpion touches a mushroom, it poisons it. And so if a centipede touches the poison mushroom, it'll speed up and get really, really fast. Okay, I want to see. And you don't want to have mushrooms down here in the bottom of the screen. Okay, shoot. Yeah, there he goes. No. Shoot. Yeah. So now it's going to become a lot more problematic to... Okay, yeah. All right. That little fanfare there meant that we got a free life, which is great. Okay. And we want to go ahead and get right in there and boom. And that's the thing. Yeah, if you could go and set that up in the arcade, you know, a channel that they came down, people are like, how are you getting such a high score? Like, because I'm that good. Now, Centipede, what's really cool about Centipede is that it was one of the first arcade games. Among the first arcade games that was co-designed or principal designed by a woman. And Donna Bailey is who designed the game. And it's the reason why it was also so colorful. They were like, you know, at the time, a lot of games were either monochrome or had no limited color palette. And they wanted to make something that changed in color and changed in design that would be attractive to, you know, to women that came into play and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's a lovely game. Oh, man. Okay, it would do not too bad. So that's Centipede on the Atari 400, the 400 Mini. And this looks, again, it's the same, basically same game and design that you would have had on the 5200 and on the 800. Okay, yeah, let's just see how long we can go ahead and kill these Centipede. Oh, see, they broke the channel there. Oh, they got another free gun there. Oh, man, okay. We are having a good run right now. Okay. Now, the thing is, too, this game also used a trackball, not a joystick, when you played. It gave you much more precise and immediate control over where you were placing your centipede, or your gun there, your ship. And yeah, this one is pretty good, though. Shoot. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop it. And I am going to save that one so I can continue that later, because I was having a really good run there. So I do love that. One of the things I did want to go ahead and show you as well, let me close this out. Actually, let's jump back into it. When I pressed this button. I think it was. Let me see. Was it this button? Let me see. One of the buttons brought up the keyboard. There we go. And so what you could do is you could bring up an on-screen keyboard to go ahead and enter in information that you needed to while you were playing, right? In a game that required it. So that was really cool. And of course they color-coded it to look just like the original membrane keyboard, which I think is a wonderful little touch that they did as well. So yeah, it's pressing the home and select buttons or start buttons at the same time. We'll bring that up. All right, let's go back to the home. Let's go ahead and check out a couple of other games here, and then we're going to go ahead and plug in this USB stick that I have, and we'll take a look at some of the other games that I think were really good on the system back in its era. Two that I want to go ahead and make sure we do here. Miner 2049er, my good friend Eugene Evans. A big shout out to Eugene. Had posted, about this game and said, my goodness, this game was so difficult, still difficult to play, and it is difficult. So the goal here is to go ahead and have your Miner 2049er go ahead and Bounty Bob basically cover all of the girders that you see there while avoiding the baddies on the screen, and then get out of the level there. Look at that too. We have this nice little opening animation. And there you go. Check that out. Big 5 Software. I wonder what happens if we call that number, right? So no email. When you wanted things, you had to phone. You had to make a phone call. You had to fax it if you had a fax machine, if you were that rich, or you sent in a letter, right? So there you go. You wanted to contact Big 5 Software. There's the address and telephone number. All right, let's go ahead and try this out. Okay, so you want to jump up here and you want to cover all of this. See, oh, and that's, yeah. So I jumped up and actually hit the enemy above where I was, which I didn't want to do. Okay, so you want to avoid him. See how he kind of crossed over the girder there? Okay. So now that was like a power pill that you would get. Oh no, with Pac-Man, and went ahead and killed the baddie. Okay, let's jump here. Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing too, right? You could jump over, where you wanted to land. Come on. I missed that little bit there. That's okay. Because what we're going to do now is grab this, go down here, grab him. Oh, shoot, missed him. My hat hit him. Let me turn the volume down on this a little bit. Okay, there we go. Enter your name. How do we enter the name? Why, we go ahead and pull up the keypad on the side here. So, of course, we're going to use the most childish name that we can use. And there we go. All right, let's go ahead and press start and do it again. Let me shut the keyboard there and let's go start it, and let's see if we can't go ahead and get through one of the levels here. Oh, shoot. Oh, I chose a higher difficulty level. So let's see. And that means that's going to probably run out faster. Yep, that is. Yeah, so you want to be able to make your way and cover all of the ground that you need to. And of course, I think you have a time limit at the top there. So now what I don't want to do is I don't want to grab that pill yet, because I want to try to get the baddies at the top at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's see. Okay, can we do it? Shoot. Oh, no, we didn't do it. So now that means I've got to clear this level without getting hit by them. Oh, no. Oh, see. Yeah, sometimes the original Atari joystick, this is what makes it difficult, right? Shoot. I went down again. I didn't mean to do it. That's also the same thing that happens in Donkey Kong, right? Regardless. Oh, my gosh. Okay. One more time. Let's go. Let's go. I'm going to put this down on the table here. Okay, that's what I needed to do. There we go. No. Oh, see, almost bit it again. And I did. My goodness. difficult game, but I mean, I started on a more difficult level. Oh, and it's going to go all the way back to the beginning. All right, that is Miner 2049er. One of the early kind of platformer type of games, right? You can see where games like Donkey Kong, or where games like this took inspiration from games like Donkey Kong and things like that, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into some other games. Okay, so the one game we're just not going to have time to play through it today, but I do want to hear the music. This is one of the most iconic theme songs ever in the history of video games. Turn that up. And that is Mule. By Ozark Softscape. And this was a 4-player game, so you could get 4 people in here to go ahead and play against each other, right? Which was pretty unique at the time. I mean, look, these systems really weren't that advanced, and we had, 4-player, or they're trying to do 4-player games. That was, pretty difficult thing to do. And it was made by Electronic Arts, and just enjoy a little of the Mule soundtrack there. I do love it so much. I do love it. Let's see. Option to change any level of play. Beginner. Insert a joystick or paddle for each planeteer. At least one joystick is required to play the game. Press your buttons to go on. Stick. And yeah, now it's going to try to actually do more players. Maybe we'll come back and we'll play through Mule one time, at a later date. But I just wanted you to hear the music. Iconic music. This is a pretty lengthy game, but you battle for resources on this planet. It's got a lot of humor to the game as well. And it lets you be a real jerk to the other players that you're playing with. So that's a ton of fun. Okay, let's go ahead and look at Missile Command. This one is also iconic game. In the arcade original, you had 3 missile silos, and so you had 3 separate buttons that you could use. Obviously, you don't have the ability to do that in the home version, so it was always a center silo with the 6 cities. And so here we go. We're going to... we have our 1 player, and we're going to jump in. So what you want to do is you want to basically fire missiles up and stop the missiles from raining down and killing your cities. And so you had to go and time it correctly so the explosion from your missiles would catch their missiles at the front. The more missiles you have, the more cities you have, the more points you get, and then it just gets faster and faster from here on out. All right. And, oh, no, it was the pause button. All right, we want to go and do that. You'd also want to try to go and time it so that way, let's see if I can get that whole cluster of missiles. Nope, I missed it. Grab that one. Yep, we have to be careful there because now that plane is dropping missiles midway down. No. Okay, did we save it? No, we didn't. We lost the city. Terrible. But this game is one of the games that when I was doing the Art of Video Games exhibition at the Smithsonian, this is one of the games that we use to explain why video games are an art form. Because the designer of this game, David Burr, he said, look, I want to make this game, but I want it to be a game of defense, not of, oh, it's going to hit my silo. Shoot. Okay, now I'm out of missiles. Oh, wait. Okay, now my next battery of missiles just came in. Anyway, he said he wanted to make this a game of defense, not one of aggression, because it's a noble thing to defend your country, but he didn't want to make a game where they were firing nuclear missiles at the USSR, is the way he described it. Oh, see? One of the problems, again, with that joystick is I just pressed the top button by accident and went ahead and basically reset the game, right? So I do love the attempt to add more buttons and functionality to this. Just, you have to be careful when you're playing it. Anyway, that's Missile Command. But, this game, he wanted to make a game of defense. He wanted to, the 6 cities were meant to represent the 6 major cities in California and the state in which he lived. And he suffered from Night Terror, from internalizing the futility of nuclear war to such a degree that, again, he had Night Terror for a couple of years. And so when you talk about art and you talk about the creation of things like this, look, somebody who saw what was going on in the world, made a moral decision, it's personalized, you suffer for it. That's the same as any other artist, right, that's ever purported to create art. So, yeah. All right, so that was Missile Command. All right, so now what we're going to do is I have a USB drive here. I'm going to plug this into the back of the 400 Mini. And what we should get, actually, before we go over there, I'm going to take a look at Yoomp. So this is a game that was created more recently, right? More recent years, and it is a 3D style kind of endless runner type of game where you're basically bouncing through this environment, and you have to basically make it to the end of the levels without dying. Okay, and you're hitting those there, and you see how you're moving around the playfield this way and trying to avoid the gaps. And I believe this game has been on other platforms as well. Oh, shoot. Oh, am I going to make it? Oh, died. Not an easy game. Press fire to Yoomp is what it says there. But yeah, as developers, learn how to best use the system, they can create more complex games like this, right? But can you imagine seeing this type of game, when it first came out? I mean, this would be like, maybe not looking exactly at a PlayStation 5, but you wouldn't have believed that you were playing this at home. This would have been, right there in the hole there. Okay, so that is Yoomp, and we're going to stop playing Yoomp, and we're going to get over to the USB stick, because I have some stuff in here as well that we'll take a look at. And we should be able to see, there it is, the little USB stick. And so the USB stick will allow us to go ahead and load in our own games that we want to go ahead and play. And so I have a couple of them here. One that I want to go ahead and take a look at. Let's take a look at this. So this is the Atari dealer demo. So back in the day, a store proprietor that was selling, the Atari would go ahead and run these demos for anybody that came in to see it. And this is the demo that would sell you on the Atari 400 or 800. So let's let that play through. Look at these advanced graphics. Oh, you can do household management with it. Personal development. What can you expect from your Atari personal computer? Well, I wonder what we can expect. Let's see. What do they got for us? Stock quotes, news wires, data banks, access other computers, information retrieval. Do all of those things. Personal finance management. Does anybody know what that's a picture of? That's a picture of a check. If you don't know what that is. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I got the frame squeezed in here a little bit so we can see it. Let's see, what else can we expect from them? Professional applications. Pascal, Pilot Basic Assembly Language. Want to know more? Type in your first name and press the return key. Okay, let's put in our name. Let's just do AAA, and then we'll go down and select the return key. Let me see where that is. Let's go ahead. So what I'm doing right now is I'm also squeezing in the screen so we can see the rest of the keys that are available to us here. This one was a little bit outside the frame there. All right, here's the return key up here. Hey, A, I'm the Atari personal computer. You don't have to be a genius user. In fact, my personal computer is so advanced, I'm easy to use with programs available now. So this is what, you would see when you went into the store. Look at that. You've got your Atari machine that's going to help you do your personal finances. Why this was important, though, if you think back to the era in which these machines were released, we just went through the video game crash, which is like in 1982 to 1983. And so consumers were kind of turned off on game systems, and home computers were now on the rise. So in order for us kids to be able to continue playing video games at home, you had to lean into the educational side of them, which were computers. So this got parents to go ahead and buy them because, look, you're going to use this for your family's education and all these things. The reality was that we were playing games with them at home, right? We weren't using them for we weren't using them for any of that kind of stuff. We were just using them to play. Let's take a look at what the Atari Expo from 1991 looks like as well. And here we go. It's going to fire that one up. Oh, look at that. The Atari Expo demo, 1991. Here we go. Maybe. All right. There we go. Simple demo written by the missing link. Right, so the demo scene back in that era too was a big thing. People going ahead, and actually it's a big thing today, right? Is people going ahead and writing demos and creating, these types of expressions, right? That games really couldn't go ahead, or the systems couldn't do back in the day. So let me see. Do I hit start, or do I hit? What do I need to do here? Let's see, is that one? Oh no, there it is. Down there at the bottom. Start. There you go. And so this is really stretching the capabilities of the machine, what you could do with it. So let's see if it can run it. There you go. We didn't have full screen, characters or enemies like that on systems of this era. So that was pretty incredible to see that happening. So that's what, again, that's a demo from the demo scene. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the, let's go look at the arcade games. So, let's go start playing some of the most iconic games, like Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong is definitely in here. And here we go, Donkey Kong by Atari. And what we want to do is clear those out. The reason that you can go ahead and stack media at the bottom as well, if you have a game that required multiple discs, you put them in there and then switch between them. But we don't want to do that here. We just want to go ahead and play a little Donkey Kong by Nintendo, 1981 to 1983. I'm also going to put on a little music in the background here while we play through some of this stuff here. All right, here we go. And here you go. It is Donkey Kong, right? Really good home conversion of this. Gosh, that joystick though, man, the up and down on it can be a real pain in the rear end. All right, let's see. You also notice, going up and down on this wasn't as fast as side to side. So when the barrels are rolling across the screen, they're super fast. It makes it a much more difficult version. Let me see if I can get past the barrel. There we go. All right, so now I should be able to go up. No. Shoot, my goodness. Okay, let's try this again. Come on. Okay, we know it's game over. Let's go again. All right, here we go. Let me get past the barrel. I mean, one of the things that didn't happen, right, in the... Okay. All right. One of the things that didn't happen was the fireball wouldn't, immediately chase you up the broken ladder on the first level, right? Shoot. Okay, see, I keep hitting that, and I ran to the oil. Okay, at least okay, good. I have to put this down here. My goodness, this is so difficult. Man, playing on this original stick, I mean, it brings back memories, but It is not the easiest joystick to go ahead and play with, that is for sure. See, look. Okay. Very sensitive when you get by the ladder. I mentioned that too in Miner 2049er, how when I just, and I pressed the top button again. Okay, all right, come on. I have it down flat on my desktop here. See, again, I just walked past it. Okay. Oh, and I didn't mean to do that. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go. Okay, good. Let's get up to the top. Let's go. Okay. I'm just putting my thumb on the top of it too. Let's see if I can just do it that way. Actually, I'm gonna hold the way I used to when I was... Oh, shoot. Man, that is a terrible placement. Yeah, I mean, the controller is really cool again because it's invoking, the gameplay you had when you were a kid. But for people with large hands, right, it's problematic. For sure. Okay. Oh, good. Well, that's time it worked in my favor. All right, for goodness sakes, man. Okay. All right, let's go. All right, the girders there. See, I didn't want to do that either. All right, here we go. See how fast it moves too? Like, it was a much more difficult game than the arcade version even. Just because the speed, that horizontal speed that they would move at was crazy. Oh, see, I almost bit it right there. Okay, can I do it? Oh, good. All right, we did it. That's fantastic. Yes. All right, let's see if we can get to the next level there. Okay, good. That one at least is going down over my head, which is fine. And then... Okay. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, shoot. See, I didn't want to get stopped there. Man. Again, the joystick is fun, but... Now it's making me think, maybe these games were just so hard because of the controller. What? Okay. All right, let's see. Here we go. All right. Now, I'm concerned about the springs. I gotta be honest with you. Okay, here we go. Okay, why is it all the way... Like, in the original, it never went that far. Okay, here we go. Let's try it again. Let's go. Too far. All right, so that's Donkey Kong on the Atari 400. Again, this was as close as we get to the arcade. It was like the arcade, at home, but that one is tough. All right, speaking of tough, let's go ahead and check the next tough game. Let's look at Donkey Kong Jr. This game was already difficult just because of the wonky way that Junior would move. But let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay, how am I dropping there? No. Okay. And let's see if we have... Oh, and I pressed up again, the top button. If I keep doing that, I'm going to change the joystick out. Okay. All right, let's see. Crazy. Just crazy to control. Okay. All right, you know what? Okay. It's time to change the joystick out. Let's see if we can do that right now. Okay. All right. Did that let me do that now? No, it didn't. All right. I'm going to reboot the machine. And then we're going to go ahead and restart it. And that we can jump in and play with a different joystick and see if that helps matters at all. Because again, yeah, that was a little rough playing there. Although I don't know how much better the other, version of this stick is going to work, but we're going to see. but we are going to see. I love that little ditty that plays there. Oh, this one may not be an upgrade. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. All right, let's get over to some Donkey Kong Jr. One of the things that's really fun about okay, I have to figure out which one is the home button. Is this the home button? Yeah, that one's the home button. One of the things about this is making sure that we go back and we understand the history of our industry that's informing the games that we're making today, right? The limitations that we had. Okay, this one feels at least a little better. Not much. I mean, it's not really the most precise, not the most precise controller. Let's see. And let's see if we can, you know what too? I may just go ahead and try using a control pad and see if that helps things. Okay, there we go. And there's Junior down there. So again, it's making sure that we understand the history of the industry and where these games came from, because we still use these designs, right, in the games that we're creating today. So it's important to, again, remember our history, remember what came before, and how they're still affecting and impacting games and game design for today. All right, let me go ahead and switch this out. I'm going to walk over here to the other side of the studio, so I'll be back in one moment. All right, so now I'm going to plug in just a standard USB pad, and let's see if that helps us at all. Okay, so now we're back here to this beginning, and let's see. All right, we're going to select that. Tripping over all these wires here now. Okay, and we've got... do we have that? Oh, yeah, that's the other thing, too, is when you're playing in these games off of USB, you can choose what system you want it to be on, and what type of controller you're using. So the joystick, for example, here, if I map these controls, let me see if I can do that. Okay, so that's to go forward. This one brings up the menu here. Then I can map these controls. So yeah, you can map your joystick and fire stuff to a different type of pad or control that you have, which is really cool. But we should be able to just start this and go. All right, so let's see. Okay, yeah, so this feels much better, much easier to control. Yeah, now I feel like I can actually control the gameplay here. And there we go. Okay, yeah. Yeah, see, I would have just been completely dead right there. Oh! And just like that. So that was definitely my fault, not the controller's fault. But yeah, using a control pad for some of these, certainly a big improvement over using the joystick. Although, again, it's fun and it's nostalgic, but, there's a reason why some of the stuff is improved, right? Although I just completely bit it, right, playing this one. At least let's get past the keys, if we can. And let's let Red get over here and drop that on in. All right. And then, oh, come on. Yeah, like I said, even the original arcade was a really difficult game to play just because it was a wonky game. I believe this is the case, my good friend Van Burnham, this is one of her favorite games. Not the Atari, 400 version, but the arcade version is one of her favorite games of all time. And so I do love that. I love that memory, at least that I have of her. And let's see. Okay, there we go. And okay, all right, Junior, let's go. Junior in his little diaper there with the J on the front of it. Okay, and jump. Yeah, and the way this game worked, if you've never played Donkey Kong Jr. before, is when you're holding one vine, you climb slowly, but you can descend rapidly. If you're holding two vines, you climb rapidly, but descend slowly. Okay, see, that is just cheap. right? Because I'm on the other vine. He shouldn't have been able to get me. Okay, I'm done with this one. Let's go ahead and play a different, let's go play a different game. We're going to go ahead and I think, let's see. Let's, how do I clear that out? I don't. Let me see. Oh, okay, that's how we're going to do it. Okay, let's go ahead and play, oh, one of my favorites. Moon Patrol. Great, great game. Great, great game. And also really, really difficult as well. All right, so the whole goal of this game is to just make it all the way from A to Z. And now because these Atari games only had one button on the joystick, I'm having to press up to jump, which is I mean, it's kind of intuitive, but it's also a little difficult when you're, you know, trying to move left to right, because then you have to remember to move on an angle. But you've got, you know, this parallax scrolling in the background, so it's got this real feeling of depth to it. And it's got the full theme song as you're playing. Oh, you got to watch out for those missiles coming in. Yep, and you can blast the rocks or you can jump over them if they're small enough. The bigger ones you can't. And then the next set of enemies should start blowing craters in the surface. Let's see. How's that going? Did we go there? C? All right. Oh, we're doing pretty good here. Yeah, so there's another enemy type that will blow craters in the surface, so we have to be careful there. And can we get to E and do it in a timely fashion to get our big bonus? Yeah, these are the ones that blow craters in the ground. So you want to go ahead and wipe those out as fast as you can. The other ones are just missiles. You can either hit them or let them crater into the ground and they won't hurt you. Okay. Jump. And where are we? Where are we? Yay! We went ahead and did it. And that is Moon Patrol. Time to reach point E. There was my time. Average time was 80. Sorry, no bonus. Womp, womp, womp. And now look, now you're on a different part of the moon, so you've got a different background to it. So it felt just like the arcade. And when you were playing, oh, jumping over that. Man, not having two buttons makes it a lot more difficult, right, to play. Because you're pressing up to do it. Let's see. Come on. All right, how are we doing there? There's F. Yeah. Oh, we're not going to do it. We're not going to be able to make it. Oh, no. Oh. Poor Moon Patroller. All right, so that was Moon Patrol, another great classic arcade game. Let's go ahead and take a look at... So what I wanted to do is also take a look at these different versions of Popeye, okay? So, you know, back then you had 3 different ways of getting a game onto your Atari machine. And not just Atari, but you know, the Commodores and those sorts of things. So you had a cartridge, you had a floppy disk, or you had a cassette. And so we're going to go ahead and take a look at kind of the difference between the 3. So let's start with the cassette. This would be, you know, a cassette that you would put in. Let me see. Oh, no, I want to clear those out. Okay, no files selected. There we go. All right, there's the cassette. Let's see what happens when we start a cassette game on the 400. So we're going to get that sound loading. So it's going to try to load. Now, I don't know if this is going to work exactly on the 400. So we're giving it a shot to see if it does. See if it works or not. And it's should be trying to load the game off a cassette as it normally wouldn't, so it takes a while. But actually, I think it's probably frozen, which, yeah, it is. So that didn't work. Now we're going to go ahead and reboot the machine, and then we'll go ahead and load it off of the disk and see how that works. So let's unplug our Atari, or our 400 Mini, plugged into the proper adapter as well. Make sure you do that when you get your 400. Okay, Here we go. And again, this is a really great way to experience this whole catalog of content across a wide variety of Atari systems from back in the day. Okay, let's go ahead and jump over to our USB stick. And we'll go back into the arcade. And let's go head on over to Popeye. And we'll go check out Popeye. And here is the disc. And we'll go ahead and start it. And let's see what happens now. So now it's trying to load the disc, and there we go. It's now loaded, which is different than running it off the cartridge. But we'll go ahead and give this a shot. Now in this game, you are Popeye, and your lady love, Olive Oil, is dropping these hearts, and you need to go ahead and grab these hearts before they hit the bottom and sink into the water. And that's the Sea Hag, and she's going to throw these bottles of beer at you, which I also thought was super interesting that they would throw beer bottles there. And that's Bluto underneath, who is trying to jump up and hit you there. And so you have to, make sure you don't get caught defending against a bottle while Bluto's underneath, because then he'll jump in. Now he's going to send a barrage of bottles at you, and there's the Sea Hag again. And so Bluto can not only jump up to try to get you, but he can also jump down a level. So there he is swiping down at you. And then he can also jump down the level to try to hit you. And that's just a single bottle, so we'll grab it. And then what we'll try to do is we'll grab some spinach if we can. Because that was Popeye's thing, right? Spinach. Let's see, can we grab it? Nope, not yet. Oh, shoot. Bluto is really coming after me there. Okay, we'll hit that one there. Shoot. No. All right. Shoot. Oh, I needed to turn around. It's what's really cool, too, is see how the meter fills up top there. And what you can do is that little blue, circular thing there, that's a punching bag. Because Popeye's all about muscles. And, there we go. So now we're going to go get Bluto. Here we go. Come on, buddy. Oh, no. He avoided me. No. Yeah, there we did. We sent him into the drink. And so then, after you complete the level here, then it goes on to a different level where there's like a springboard, I believe, is one of them that you can jump up and jump onto. And let's see if I can hit the punching bag here. So the punching bag will let me... Oh, no. Yeah, so you can trap him. And, my head just hit his foot, apparently. That's all it took. And what you want to do is kind of trap him. Oh, shoot. Come on. Difficult game. Now, this game, I believe this is correct. This was a Nintendo release in the arcade. And this was a Shigeru Miyamoto game as well. And I think, this is like one of the ones that they thought were going to be a big seller here in the US and, one that they wanted to kind of get behind. But this was a property and a license that they could go ahead and get. So this was pretty popular in the arcade, actually. This is pretty popular in the arcade. Yeah, and that's Popeye, right? And that's coming off of the... loading off a disc. So if we do the same game... let's see. Let's clear that out. So this should be the cartridge version. Let's see how different that is when it loads. It's not. So I thought maybe it would have a title screen or something like that. It doesn't. But that's Popeye on the Atari 400. Okay, let's go ahead and play through a couple of more games here. On our USB stick, of course, let's go ahead and try Pac-Man, right? Of course, Pac-Man, one of the most famous games in history. Here we go, 1982. This is just 2 years after it showed up in the arcade. So not exactly the same as the arcade, but really got close, mimicked the full layout of, the Pac-Man board. You have all 4 ghost monsters, right, that you're chasing around here. And I'll tell you what, it was a much better version than the Atari 2600 version that came out. That, of course, was part of the lore around, around the video game Crash. Controls were a little bit, left a little to be desired. The colors of the ghosts are not, accurate, but it's Pac-Man at home. And again, we didn't have the ability to play the real arcade games or games that looked like the real arcade at home. This is as close as we got, and we loved it. And we loved it because, again, it was this close you could get to Pac-Man at home. And there he goes. Obviously, he's not fully yellow, right, in this version of it. But yeah, it's the full Pac-Man game. So there you go. That is Pac-Man on the Atari 400. Let's go ahead and head on over to the game that is considered to be the superior game, which is, of course, Miss Pac-Man, releasing 1 year later. And let's see. Okay. The ghosts look a bit more like the arcade, right? They have those expressive eyes that point in the direction that they're moving. So you can they telegraph where they're going. Oh, I'm going to get trapped right up here. Yep. Okay, good. A little more intelligent than the other ones were as well. Here we go. Yeah. So again, this is, Miss Pac-Man. Again, we just released 1 year after the version of Pac-Man that we were just playing a little while ago there. And then we should have a collectible, a fruit that comes out here soon. Let's see. I mean, when you talk about going back and playing these older games, they are, the reason that we can keep going back and playing them is because they are just iconic, excellent games, right? And so they're always a joy to go back and play, and they work across multiple generations of gamers, which is awesome, right? Green cherries, don't think I would want to eat those, but I have to if I'm Miss Pac-Man. Let's see, can I get them before they leave the maze? Shoot. Yeah, I should be able to now, and there we go. Yay, we went ahead and did it. All right, so this is Miss Pac-Man on it. I don't know. I would assume that they have the, the interstitials from when you clear, when you clear 2 levels, right? You got to clear 2 levels to bring up the intermissions there. But we're not going to wait around for that because we have more games that we need to go through. Let's take a look at a game that was really difficult to do in this era was Robotron 2084. This is my favorite game of all time. But in this game had 2 joysticks, right? One on the left to move, one on the right to shoot in all the directions. This one, you have to move and shoot in the same direction with one button. So we'll see how easy or difficult it is to play this. Yeah, very much. Yeah, it looks like Robotron, but it is not the same game. I mean, it's going to be really difficult to play. I also want to see what it's like when it's bringing all of these enemies on screen at the same time. It should be pretty frantic. Okay, yeah, those in the corner, they suck. They're the worst enemies. Can't stand them. That's the one that most everybody dies on because they'll just spawn these enemies that shoot these projectiles that follow you and are really difficult. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, really difficult. Having to go ahead and move and shoot in the same direction just throws off the balance of the game. But, if you wanted it at home, that's what you had to play with, so... Let's see. Come on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, there's little screams of the humans getting run over there. Okay, let's see. Let's see if they have the brain level, which we may not get to. No, we're not going to get to. Here, game over. Womp womp. Okay, that was Robotron 2084. My favorite game. Certainly not that version. But yeah. Another game that I loved back in the day. Loved is Seamus. And we're going to go ahead and try that out. Loved the music of this one and the whole vibe of this game. an adventure game. You know, really a scrolling, sprawling adventure type of game. Keys, keyholes, mysteries, there are your extra lives, robo-droids, shadows, spiral drones. Yeah, so this is a bit like Berserk in that you can't touch the walls to clear the... And oh, shoot. Yeah, it's moving sideways. Like up and down doesn't move that fast. Left to right, super fast. So you have to change up your... You have to just be careful, right? When you're moving, okay, come on. And this one too is another one of those where you are pointing, or you're shooting in the direction you're pointing. Look how fast those missiles came at me. Want to get down here to pick that up. There's a clue for that level. Oh my God. Yeah, and sometimes it's hard. I mean, the enemies don't telegraph what they're doing either. They just go, right? So, also you notice that it's moving slower side to side. I wonder if it was just really a function of how many enemies were on the screen at any one time. All right, let's get down here. Room 10. Okay, good. We're trying to find those keys and get out and unlock. Okay, so there it is. It's in room 15 on the black level. Yeah, and look, everything respawns. It doesn't even give you like a single... It doesn't even give you a single, you know, space of a room. It just, they respawn immediately, which, you know, we're not used to today, right? People playing games today would be like, what the hell is going on there? Yeah, I completely died and back to the beginning there. But again, this was really cool, fast, action, adventure-y type of game. You had to figure out where you needed to be and, you know, remember what rooms you were going back to. So yeah, and that would unlock other areas. There we go. Okay, we're going across here now. Ah, there is a key. And I wonder if it retains... Because we went down back here, so I wonder if it retains that information. Of course, there's respawn, but those are not... It didn't have as many enemies in this one. Oh, that one had a lot of enemies. Let's see. Okay. Room 8. Come on. Okay, and I can't remember if you take too long in a room, if it brings out like an invincible... Yeah, there's the invincible enemy. Oh, no. So yeah, very much like Berserk in that regard, right? And I believe that if I had just left the room and then... Oh, shoot. If I had just left the room and then gone back in, the enemies would have been spawned in completely different areas, right? Okay, so this is going to probably fire at me, right? Gosh, man, it's so difficult. Especially moving and firing in the same direction. That one is tough. Okay, and this guy, he does fire, so... All right, let's see. We got a key. No! Oh, and I'm back to the beginning there. Back to level 0. Seamus! This game was great. I had it on the Commodore VIC-20. We couldn't. We didn't have an Atari 800 or 400. Those were way too expensive when I was a kid. But we did have this game on the VIC-20. It was just as great. All right, let's go take a look through a couple more games here. So many great memories. All right, Joust, another fantastic game. Let's see. All right, and again, it's going to probably have the same issue where moving, horizontally is really fast versus up and down. So yeah, that is exactly it. Wow, that is fast. Okay, here we go. Okay, I want to grab that egg before... Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, yeah, gosh, man. Okay, let's get that egg before it turns into a stronger bird. And we'll drop down there, and there you go. Yeah, that is just like the arcade there. Oh, my goodness gracious. I think that's it, right? Yeah, that's it for this one. Oh, no, wait, I've got one more. Okay. Oh, man. I mean, the controls are already floaty enough to, you know, it's just the changing speed. It's difficult to kind of orient yourself when you're playing to the changes in speed based on the direction that you're moving. But I guess that's what made it a challenge back then, right? I used to say all the time, you know, we didn't have auto aim or any of these sorts of things. Like, these games were challenging for a reason. Because these games, you know, remember when they were created, were designed to take your quarters. That's what they were designed to do. And we just brought that same experience home. No quarters involved, but they did rob you of your time. So yeah, there's that one. Let's also go ahead and look at Jungle Hunt. Another really good game. This was known as Jungle King as well. Let's see what versus this is. Okay, so Jungle King versus Jungle Hunt. In Jungle Hunt, you are an explorer. In Jungle King, you were Tarzan. And the reason that they had to stop using Tarzan, of course, was licensing reasons, right? So the estate of the author, the creator of Tarzan, you know, Taito didn't have the rights to the likeness, and it used the Tarzan kind of cry, and I'm gonna miss him there, and so they had to go ahead and change it to just a standard adventurer, right, from Tarzan himself. Shoot. Okay, let's try again. Yeah, timing with all those different rope swings there. There we go. Now what we want to do is we want to get down basically to the end here, and we'll get into the water. And the thing is, when you're doing this, there we go, we're in the water. And now you have to keep track of your air. So I want to stay at the top there, get my air full. And then you can get those crocodiles, but only if their mouth is shut. If you hit them when their mouth's open, you die. Those air bubbles force you to the top as well, and so it just makes it difficult for you to get out of them, right? Traps you and floats you to the top, and off you go. So, all right, that was Jungle Hunt. Let's go take a look at a couple of others before we get out of here today. Let's see, Galaxian. So Galaxian was I keep doing that. Galaxian was the precursor to Galaga, which is probably one of the most famous arcade games of this era. It's one that's been reproduced many, many times. In fact, I think I even have... Yeah, there's the Galaga start. Galaxian was also known as Space Invaders with color, right? And they would swarm and do all these things that Space Invaders wouldn't do. And so this was, you know, you can see like some of the patterns where it's grouped with like three ships at the same time. We see that in Galaga, and then follow-on goes to it. But this was the original one. This is the one that kind of shifted those types of space games in the minds of players, because we had these swarming, swooping aliens coming down. Really, really cool. And a lot of fun. And there were a lot of there were handheld games at the time as well that tried to go ahead and mimic this kind of swarming, swooping gameplay that Galaxian did. And there is one ship, I wonder if it's on the second level, we'll see, that is kind of the iconic Galaxian ship that you've seen it before. If you've seen Space Invaders, you've seen this Galaxian ship, but let's see if it's in this version of Galaxian. It may not be. Yeah, that's proving to be a real tough one to hit. Come on. All right, let's see. All right, finally. Nope, it's not going to have the ship. It was basically a yellow kind of pointed ship with round fins on the back of it, and it was also used as like pickups or bonuses in other Namco games back in this era. It's just not in this version of it. So this is Galaxian, again, the Space Invaders with color game back from that era. Okay, let's go ahead and let's take a look at Frogger, right? Another classic game. Now, Parker Brothers, which is a board game company, back in the day, got into creating, video games, and their brand, even though they weren't doing board games, it was a well-known brand, and so people trusted the games that they were creating. And this one is really a really good approximation of the arcade game. It looks like it. It's a lot more colorful and detailed than other versions of the game, certainly more so than the Atari 2600 version. That's the second frog that you needed to go ahead and pick up and rescue. And let's see. Okay. Yeah. Difficult. I mean, not a very difficult game in the earlier levels, but the difficulty really does ramp up and take its toll on you as a player. You're constantly moving backwards and forwards in the later levels of the game. And see, yeah, I was on a turtle that sunk. But yeah, really good version of this classic game. Frogger, of course, I said in the later levels, and meanwhile, I'm dying like crazy, right? Because I'm also speeding and trying to get out of here. Talking while playing is also not the easiest thing to do. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of more before we get out of here for the weekend. This was one of my favorite arcade games of the era. This was Congo Bongo, which was Sega's take on... this was Sega's take on the Donkey Kong formula, right? Yeah, let me go ahead and squeeze this one here in the middle because it's a little off center, and I don't like that. So I'm going to squeeze this one into the middle of our widescreen here. Okay, I think that's fine. That's fine. That's good enough for today. Okay, let's go ahead and... oh, yeah, we need to bring up the keyboard. So we need to select one player. And we need to select a J for the joystick. Remember, I said there are times you're going to need to bring up a keyboard. This is the way they did it. And so here we go. A pseudo 3D Donkey Kong made this very difficult to figure out where anything was on the playfield. The home versions especially. The arcade version was a little bit easier to discern. Also, you're moving in diagonals the entire time. Right? And so that made it more difficult. Come on. Okay, why can't I climb? There we go. Now, here's the problem. Let's see if it's going to happen here. Okay, if I can avoid these monkeys. Okay, good. All right, I did it. Woo! Okay, the monkeys get on your back. You have to jump up and down to shake them off before you can jump safely. Oh, look at that. Screen scrolling off to the next one. All right, so this is now kind of like a pseudo 3D Frogger, right? Oh, I landed on it and then jumped into the water. Oh, no, I landed in the water. Okay, apparently. See, that's what I was saying. It looked like I landed right on it, right? And no, I didn't, apparently. So, apparently... Okay, let's see. Now I have to get onto this hippo. And then get onto the island. Okay, good, good. And now we have to wait for the fish. Okay, and we'll have to get on this fish. And then get up here. And I missed the land and didn't make it over. But yeah, that is Congo Bongo. It was Sega's take on the Donkey Kong kind of, game. All right, here we go. This is Choplifter. Again, another great game. This is one of those games that you can come back to, and it just works, right? All right, let's see. It still holds up today. All right, Choplifter, here we go. And what you need to do is fly up here and turn. And you need to basically rescue all of the captured hostages here. But what I want to do, though, is get rid of that tank first. Now, in order to hit the tank, you have to face forward. because if you don't, so now you're dropping bombs basically. Okay, and you want to land here and let them start running in, and you want to move before you hit them, and you want to fill up your helicopter with as many as you can. But here's the thing, you can land on them and kill them before they have a chance to get into your copter. And if you do, that's not good. I don't know how many I think there's 16 you have to pick up, right? Is that right? Okay, let's see. Oh, shoot. Yeah, see, and it's just spawning these. Guys, when you're on the ground, they should start. No. Yeah, all right. You know what? I'm running back. And we'll go ahead and rescue the ones that we already have in the chopper. So you have to go back here. And this was always really cool. You land, and then there they go. They go running into safety. And then you're back up in the air and off you go. And the reason that you have to go sideways is right. Now you get enemies coming in from the side after you do it. Really good, really tough game, but you know, you can see where other games of its kind kind of got their inspiration from. Really good. Let's see. What else do we want to play here? Buck Rogers, that's a good one as well. Asteroids, not a really good version of Asteroids, unfortunately. In fact, the Atari 2600 version is a better version than that one. Crossfire Crystal Castles. No, we don't want to do that. Let's go up and see what we have in here. River Raid. Love me some River Raid. This was, of course, based off of the Atari 2600 version of it. And here we go. So, what you have to do is... okay. So what you do is raid the river. So you can pull back on the stick to slow down. You can push forward to go faster. And then you have to keep track of your fuel, fill up by running over the fuel tanks or blow them up, and then blow up each set of bridges to get to the next level. And they start moving at random. Oh man, and especially when you go slow, it starts to move really fast left to right. Branching paths, which is always a lot of fun. And let's see. Yeah, and sometimes, they won't trigger movement until they get really close. Or until you get really close, I should say. Oh, yeah, balloons in there, too. I don't know if you're supposed to pick... I don't think you pick up the balloons. Yeah, I think you just shoot them down. That's a World War I type of military craft, right? Using hot air balloons. Okay, there we go. This one was also a game that was designed by a female game designer back in the day. And I think it was, I want to say Carol Shaw, but I may be mistaken on that. It's been a long episode. We've been talking for almost 2 hours straight, so, I would ask for a little forgiveness while, not having the ability to look some of that stuff up as we're just talking about the games. Okay, that alarm means I'm running out of fuel. And so I want to grab some more fuel and load that up. Man, there you go. Look at that. Boom. Ripping through it. Fantastic. So, one of the reasons that Activision was founded, right, was because they wanted their game developers to get credit for the games that they made, right? They wanted people to know who made these games, and Atari wouldn't let them do that at the time. So, yeah, that was one of the reasons that Activision was formed, right, was to make sure that people did go ahead and get their credit for the games that they were creating. Actually, does it say in the beginning here? Let's see. I thought it did. Let's see. Does it? River Raid by Carol Shaw. Yes, of course. So I got that right. Good job. Good job. That's what game history is all about, getting those facts right. Okay, that is River Raid. Let's go ahead and jump into a couple of others before we get out of here. Space Invaders. This was really interesting. So Space Invaders didn't look like the arcade version of Space Invaders. Just different. And so we'll show you what this looked like. So yeah, look, you've got all of these invaders coming out of their ship there, and they look nothing like the original did. So this was, it was really designed to create. The design of these invaders was to create some distance between the arcade and the home version to show that they could do something different, right? These are all different animations. It was all in color. And so, they wanted it to be different than the arcade. There's no shields at the bottom, although obviously there's a version of the game where you can do that. And they just wanted it to have, again, some difference from the arcade version of it. This was what you played at home. Oh my god, look at that change up. Like, that's ridiculous. Why would it go so fast after that? Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and drop these here. But again, a really fun version of the game. It's just not Space Invaders. Although the Atari VCS or 2600 version didn't look like the arcade version of Space Invaders either. It was it wasn't the same. But the animation was really smooth and certainly a little more detailed than the original versions were. But, you can't beat the original. The original version is just iconic. Those invaders are iconic. I have a mural at home in our basement with the original Space Invaders lineup. Which is always just such a joy. Like, we're down watching a movie with this giant Space Invaders mural on the wall there. So this was Space Invaders on the Atari. Just, again, different than the arcade version. But cool, Let's see. All right. That's Space Invaders. Let's go ahead and jump into another game where we at 4:46 in the afternoon. So we are coming up to the end of this 2-hour episode there. All right, let's take a look at the Star Wars arcade game for the home. It's shooting TIE fighters. So difficult without a mouse. Really, like, a joystick control for this game is just not the easiest way, because it's also using flight controls, like pressing up to go down, down to go up. Like, you're just not used to that on a joystick game at that time. That fireball's gonna get me for sure. Okay, I don't think I hit a single TIE fighter there. Really difficult. And all right, so we're gonna use the Force now. And here we are, flipping down the trench here. And let's see if we can blow up the Death Star, right? Let's get at least one. Oh, there we go. We lost the shield. It has nothing on the walls either that you could shoot for extra points like we did in the arcade. Let's see. Here we go. Let's just avoid the fireballs, which is what we're going to have to do to be able to get out of here. And let's see. There we go. And we get it. Yes, we went ahead and got it. Hooray! We went ahead and blew up the Death Star. Right? That's what... And this is what the game... Oh, there I accidentally killed the TIE fighter. That's fantastic. So this was the home version of this game on the Atari 800, 400, right back in the day. All right, let's see. Maybe one or two more, and then we're going to be out of here for the weekend. Should be a lovely weekend out here on the East Coast. Let's go ahead and give Super Zaxxon a shot. Super Zaxxon. Zaxxon was a pseudo 3D, kind of an isometric style game. And it tried to really simulate 3D. And there you go. You have that little shadow there to show you where you are. And it felt like Zaxxon in the arcade. Obviously not as detailed or as colorful, and kind of difficult actually to play in these home versions because you didn't have the same level of detail that you had in the arcade. That height meter, it's really hard to figure out where you are. Okay, no, I have to get over that. Shoot. That is going to kick me all the way back to the beginning. Let me see. No. Okay, so we're going to go over that there. Yeah, that force field. But, again, like I said, when you're playing these games back in this era, it was... You thought you were playing the arcade game, or at least as close as you could get without having to own an expensive, multi-$1,000 arcade machine at home. So if you were fortunate enough to have a machine like the Atari 400 or 800, you did feel a bit like a king, getting to play this game. So, okay, now here we are in the hangar there. I think we're in the hangar. Okay, and this is low flying, and you can see, it's difficult to see some of those enemies on the background there because of the way it's colored. But yeah, this was this was the Atari home version of these games. And the thing is, the games look the same whether you were really on an 800 or a 400 or a 5200, right? They all pretty much look the same. Okay, let's see. Let's try one or two more. Another really difficult one to play with a single control like this is Vanguard. Vanguard is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up where as you play through it, you start to turn on different angles and you can shoot in 4 directions. But again, you had to press the direction you wanted to shoot in, which meant if you were trying to fire up but you were close to the top, wall or ceiling of the cave that you're flying through, you'd die. And so it made it a bit difficult to play, but we'll go ahead and give it a shot. And of course, I'm using a gamepad right now instead of the joystick. Playing it on the Atari 2600 joystick would have been really difficult. It was difficult back in the day too. I guess maybe we were just more forgiving, or I don't know. Let me see. All right, so that is invincibility, and you have quite a number, I think, of invincibility pods that you can pick up. And you'll hear, look how fast those are coming at you. Woo! Yeah, Vanguard is a tough game. I remember the commercial too really well when I was a little kid. It's at the end, the boss is called the Gond, and they were like, who destroys the Gond? Like, Luther destroys the Gond, and it was this big jock that was like, who came into the room and blew him up, and, terrible stereotypes, but there we go. All right, so now it should change. There we go. Rainbow zone. Yeah, so now you're going sideways or up on an angle. So it just changes the orientation all the time. Makes it really difficult to kind of track where you're going, right? But really good. All right, let's go ahead and check out Wizard of War. Another great arcade game. And, all right, here we go. Here we go. Get ready and go. All right, so now... Oh, you know what? I do not have the controller mapped to this one, so I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to play this one. Nope, I'm not. Okay, so we're going to get out of Wizard of War. Let's go try a different... What are we going to play next? Let's try Q*bert. Let's try Q*bert. This was also a tough game to play at home because in the arcade, the joystick was angled, right? So you would go down an angle. So in the home, you would have to pull on a diagonal or hold the joystick kind of at an angle to make sure everything lined up correctly. So we're going to see how well this works. Okay. Right, so the object of this game, it's a color changing game, right? So you need to change the color of all these cubes and avoid the enemies like coily. And of course you're swearing there, for goodness sake. What was also really cool about this game in the arcade was, let's see, let's let Coily get over here and we'll go ahead and drop him off the side here. So he'll go die. What was really cool in the arcade was they had a pinball knocker, right? Basically, it was a metal rod that was connected to an electromagnet. And when Q*bert would fall off the edge of the maze here, the the pyramid, you'd hear him go, oh, and fall all the way down. And then you would hear Q*bert land in the bottom of the arcade cabinet because they would just activate that knocker, and you would feel him and hear like the thunk of Q*bert hitting the bottom of the arcade cabinet, which was just awesome. You know, really innovative for the time. But Q*bert, another classic game from that era, and it was a really good version. Oh, that's it. I fell off there. Again, classic game, a really good conversion from the arcade to home. And this is a game, again, it came out for every system back in the day. But one of the things that was difficult to do was really to do sprites that could be seen through or didn't have kind of the block around them. And like on the VIC-20 it was terrible because you could see kind of the black edges of the sprite around it. So, and it didn't hop. Q*bert just kind of moved from cube to cube. So it really wasn't very good. But this one, great, just like the arcade. Reminds me very much of the ColecoVision version of the game as well. Yeah, and I went in and got killed. All right, you know what? I think we have time for one more before we get out of here. So let's go pick something from the collection that it came with. Let's try Crystal Castles. Let's see how this one works. Crystal Castles, Bentley Bear. This is a later game. And so what you have to do, let's see, that's one player. Let's press start. And what Bentley Bear has to do is run around and pick up all of the crystals on this 3D, on these 3D play fields. And you want your enemies to follow us over here. Let's get them up here to the corner. And you could go around the back of the environment, which was really cool. You know, we didn't have, again, 3D levels like that. And there we go. So now we're off to the next one and grab that honey before the bees show up. Because when the bees show up and then they'll swarm you, it stinks. Because it's just, they basically trap you, they make you immobile, and they just make it difficult to finish the level. So the thing about this game too is it used a trackball in the arcade. Oh no, said Bentley Bear. It used a trackball in the arcade, which made it really easy and fast, right, to move up and down the environments. Using a joystick, using a control pad, a little bit different, certainly a lot less precise than you had with a trackball. There we go. That is the last gem bonus. And yeah, so let's go around the back here. Now these, the green enemies there will pick up the, they'll eat gems, right? So now what you want to do is get up here and move around this environment and try to grab all those before the skeleton comes to get you. So I want to kind of lure him over here or get around him. There we go. And I mean, that's a good amount of precision for a game of this era. So I think, let's see, are they going to be able to come down here? Nope. They are not letting me in there, right? There we go. All right, we went ahead and completed that one too. Good, good, good. All right, here we go. Here we go. You want to get up? Oh, shoot. I'm not going to be able to get up there in time to get that honeypot, am I? Okay, let's see. Okay, I want to get there. Oh, shoot. Now the bees are there. So once they're on the play field. Okay, there we go. You want to shoot. Oh, no. I'm not going to get him in time either. Yeah, that was the invincibility hat. And I got stung by the bees. Womp, womp. And that was Berthilda's Castle Level 1. So that is a quick overview of the Atari 400, this awesome little mini console that lets you just relive all of those classic games back from that era. And it's not just the Atari 400 ones, it's Atari 5200 and 800, the XL and XE line of games as well that you could go ahead and play. So really, really amazing. Loved it. Loved being able to go ahead and play through that. But that is going to bring us to the end of this episode of Rewind. And remember, if you are a video game developer of any size, from AAA to indies, make sure you head on over to aws.amazon.com/GameTech to discover the products, solutions, and services that we offer to help you on your cloud game development journey. And if you are a beginner looking for a clear starting point to help you build a career or learn to produce games in the AWS cloud, we recommend you start with an AWS Learning Plan. This set of on-demand courses will increase your knowledge of game servers and game analytics and help grow your technical skills to solve real-world game development, compute, and analytics problems. And you can demonstrate your knowledge to the world by earning digital badges. Head on over to aws.training/GameTech to start your AWS for Games learning plan today. And of course, I want to give a special shout out and thank you to Waterflame for allowing us to use his music here on Rewind. Make sure you head on over to his YouTube channel at Waterflame Music to check out his incredible work. And of course, if you care about preserving the history of video games as much as I do, make sure you head on over to the Video Game History Foundation's website at gamehistory.org. They are doing incredible work to preserve the history of our industry for future generations. And I want to thank you for spending your Friday afternoon with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, an awesome weekend, and we'll see you next week on Rewind.